Bloodwolf Arts Studio. Unleash the artist within. Welcome to Bloodwolf Arts Studio, and I am your host, Mr. Moonlight. So the next poem I'm going to be reading and talking about is the next one in my series in my collection of poetry, The Seasons of Life, Volume 1, is titled The Growing Grass. This one was written on May 3rd, 2011. At the time, it's not much. It's only like a few days after the other one was written that I last did. And this one was actually an actual experience. There's some of these poems and these works that are like word for word my thoughts and actions, total experience. I just wrote down the actual experience, and this was actually one of them. And it's called The Growing Grass. I remember at the time I was still living on the farm, and I remember I was up really late one night, which is pretty common with all the schoolwork I was doing, my online schoolwork I was doing. And I remember it was late out night, and the porch light was on, and it was raining. And I love the rain, and so I went out there. It's got this calming effect. To this day, I still love the rain. I love it when it rains. And I got up, got out of the bedroom I was staying in at my aunt's place, and I went outside, and I just looked out the window, just right out on the porch, and I just saw the rain coming down, and I saw the way that it was landing on the grass, because like it had been very dry for the past while, and the grass on the front yard was very dead and beat down, and it was like the grass was dying. And as I watched these raindrops hit the ground, it just really inspired me and touched me, because I started to see some of the green come back to the grass. Just, it's like they're experiencing this drought. And yet, despite all that, like they're still holding on. The roots are still holding on, waiting for the rain. And it was like, to me, it was very symbolic of a lot of the struggles I was dealing with, where I'm just like, I'm working. And I actually had a journal entry from that day, and there was a lot going on in my mind that day specifically, where I was having these dreams and things that was essentially getting me all wound up and about getting married, and wondering why things were not working out. And um, and this experience essentially brought me back to, well, if I just remain faithful and true, eventually, the rain's going to come, and it's going to come when I least expect it. And just like the grass holds fast and true, waits through the drought, then the Lord eventually blesses people who are faithful and waiting through the drought, and that God's always faithful, that God always shows through. And that was essentially the message of this poem was, if you hold fast and true, then God will always come through for you. And that was my big takeaway. There was just a lot on my mind about there was a dream I'd had that the night before, where my grandpa Ray he was involved in it somehow, but there was like a message that came from Grandpa Ray in the dream, basically saying that I needed to just be faithful and be mindful of the associations I'm making, and so I just need to put my trust in the Lord, and essentially God will work things out in their own time and way. And that was basically the message of the dream, is basically just be faithful and just trust the process. And so I just remember, though, it was one of the first poems I'd written where I remember just seeing the grass and seeing the rain coming down on it, and just something about it was like the way that the light hit the grass and it reflected. And I just remember feeling this spark in my soul, where I was just in such awe of nature, really, because that's really what it was, is like how beautiful this was. And I just remember, like, as soon as I saw that, I watched it for a moment. I was like, man, this is beautiful. And then I bolted back to my room and I pulled out my pen and paper and I wrote this poem called The Growing Grass. So that's a little bit about the background of this poem. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my page on Facebook, and also subscribe to my TikTok at Mr. Moonlight, where I'll be doing the reading for this. And also my books are available on Amazon for purchase. My collection of poetry, The Seasons of Life, Volume 1, Autumn, and Volume 2, Winter. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the other side.